All right, guys, we're going to start going over some questions from Chapter 1. So this video is going to go over problems from 1.1, specifically number 21 and 25. All right, let's read this question. Exercise 19 gives data on the opinions of people who have and have not bought coffee filters made from recycled paper. To see the relationship between opinion and experience with the product, find the conditional distributions of opinion for buyers and non-buyers. Okay, so of opinion for buyers and non-buyers. So that means I'm going to have buyers and non-buyers. And then I'm going to find the distribution of like what they think with their opinions. So I guess there's three, right? There's higher, the same, and lower. So I probably should have given myself a little more space. But for higher, specifically for the buyers, for one thing, I'm actually going to need to find like the totals here a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and add these up real quick. Okay, I totaled up the columns and then I also totaled up the rows. So I think for this particular question, I just needed the columns. So notice the yes and the no go for if they buy or if they don't. So the ones who think the quality is higher out of the buyers, so I'm specifically talking about out of the buyers, is going to be 20 out of 36. So right now, since this is a conditional distribution, I'm looking just at this column right here, and it's going to be out of 36. So for higher, I have 20 out of 36. For same, I have 7 out of 36. And for lower, 9 out of 36. And these percentages are about 86.1. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. $55.6 is what I meant to say. I was looking at the wrong problem. So 55.6, 19.4%, and 25%. Okay, so again, this is the conditional distribution of opinion for buyers. So now I'm going to find the conditional distribution of opinion for non-buyers. I'll give myself a little more space. So this time I'm looking here because I'm looking at the non-buyers. So for higher, we have 29 out of 97, which is about 29.9%. For people who felt the same, we have 25 out of 97, which is about 25.8%. And for those that felt it was lower, we have a much higher percentage here, 43 out of 97, which is 44.3%. All right, so I have the conditional distributions of opinion for buyers and non-buyers. What do you conclude? So what I'm noticing here, if I'm comparing non-buyers and buyers, is that if they buy recycled filters, they are much more likely to think that they have a higher quality than if they do not buy the filters. And that's also true with the lower, they're thinking the quality is lower. So if they buy the filters, they're less likely to think that it's lower than if they don't buy the filters. So you can see the buyers think more poorly of them than the non-buyers think more poorly of them than the ones who actually buy it. The next common question was number 25. Yellowstone National Park surveyed a random sample of 1,526 winter visitors to the park. They asked each person whether they owned, rented, or had never used a snowmobile. Respondents were also asked whether they belonged to the environmental organization, like the Sierra Club. The two-way table summarizes the survey responses. Do these data suggest that there is an association between environmental club membership and snowmobile use among the visitors to Yellowstone National Park? Give evidence to support your answer. Okay, so let's think about what is the explanatory and what is the response variable here. I kind of want to see a conditional distribution because I'm trying to see if it's between the club membership and the snowmobile. It's kind of like the club membership is the explanatory and the snowmobile use is the response. So I want to see almost like the last problem. I think it would be wise to like look at these percentages and then look at these percentages. So of the people that are a part of the club, how many, like what's their percentages for the snowmobile? And for the ones who are not a member, what's the percentages for the snowmobile? Because then we'll be able to see if those two variables are associated or not. So we're going to have not a member, and then we're going to have member. I'll do it down here. And there's actually 3 different percentages that I'm looking at. They already gave me my totals, which is nice. So I'm going to look at never used. That should be an arrow. Renter and owner. So like I'm basically seeing for the people who are not members, what do these percentages look like for snowmobiles? And if they are a member, what do they look like? So for never used, I have 445. Stylus isn't picking up for some reason. 445 out of 1,221. For a renter, I have 497. And for an owner, I have this. Okay, notice I'm just using the ones in the column. I'm not using the big total, this big 1526. I'm not using that because I'm just trying to see what the percentage is for people that are not a member. So I'm just dividing by the ones that are not members. If I actually find these as a percent, this one up here is 36.4%. This one is 40.7%. And this one is 22.9%. Okay, so I need to compare this for the ones who are a member. So notice in the green box, I'm going to be looking at those numbers. We're going to have the same categories again. Never used, renter, and owner. So the ones we've never used, there's 212 of them out of the 305. The renters, there's 77. And the owners, there are 16. Let's see what these percentages are. It looks like we have 69.5%, 25.2%, and 5.2%. Okay. So the question is there an association? I would say yes, because these are so different. So if we had actually made these into like a bar graph or like a segmented bar graph, these are going to look pretty different from each other. Notice, so let's point out some specific things. When it says give appropriate evidence, this is me giving specifics. So someone who is not a member is way more likely to rent a snowmobile than somebody who is a member. Also, somebody who is not a member is not as likely to have never used a snowmobile. So, or I could say it the other way around. Somebody who is a member is a lot more likely to never have used a snowmobile than somebody who is not a member. So you're just kind of like comparing those percentages. If there's a pretty big difference in the percentages, then we would say that there is an association.